Don't know why, but anyway. So this is my first solo live stream, and not sure how it's gonna go. So we will see. Anyway, yeah. Okay, let's see here. And can everybody hear me okay and see me okay? Let me know. I hope everybody is doing good today. It's pretty hot here, and the humidity is up there quite a bit. So anyway, turn up the volume a bit. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can get that. All right, how's that, guys? Let me know. Okay. Let's see. All right, I think that's okay. Okay. All right, so for those of you that don't know me, I am Stephanie, and my husband and I, we live here in central Missouri on a 25-acre homestead, and we run cattle and goats and rabbits and chickens and pigs. We have a nice sized garden. We raise all of our own meats and most of our vegetables that we consume. So cattle are our main cash crop here on our homestead, and yeah. So let's see here. Before I start, I want to give a quick shout out to Brad from Big Family Homestead. I really appreciate him letting me join the Homestead Network. It's great to be a part of something that is, in my opinion, a really great thing, connecting people all around the country and getting some great information out there to people that want to get into this lifestyle. So kudos to him and Tommy over at Off Grid Nation. So I really appreciate the opportunity to do this, and I hope I can not bore you guys to death too badly. So if you're going to put a question in, please put it in all caps. I will try my best to answer questions. And then if I don't see it and I haven't answered it for a while, retype it so maybe I can see it. So anyway, how did I get into this lifestyle? I was born into this lifestyle. My parents mainly had the beef cattle, and my grandpa and grandma, they had just a bit of everything, and so did my great grandparents. Their main crop was tobacco, and they also had the cattle and the sheep. So all of my summers growing up were spent in the tobacco fields. If you've never grown tobacco before, it's not fun. I can remember coming back from the fields to go eat lunch, and my hands would be just black from the tar, and it was pretty gross. You had to use this soap, lava soap. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it's soap that really gets that stuff off of there. And anyway, and I met my husband in 2004. I met him in October and married him in December. So it's kind of one of those love at first sight kind of things. And then a year later, our first daughter was born. And at that time, my husband was in the Marine Corps, and he was stationed in California. So I lived in California for 4 years, and I did not like it. There were too many people. I'm not a big fan of being around a lot of people. So anyway, we moved back here, and then at the time, my family's homestead that's been in our family for generations was available, and it's kind of a homestead where people use it as they want to. The house was available, so we lived there for a few years, and I kind of got started. That's when I got my milk cow and my chickens and things like that. So anyway, and then we decided that it was time to get our own homestead, and we found this place, and it was a foreclosure, so we got it pretty inexpensively. Anyway, let's see. Are you guys having trouble seeing me? Okay. Can you guys see me all right? Anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and continue. Anyway, so we found this place in 2012, and we've been slowly getting everything the way we want it, getting it set up, and different things like that. So, is it doing a bad buffering job here, guys? I can't tell. My streaming thing says it's good, so I don't know if it's bad for you. Okay, well, I'll continue. I think some people can see me and some people can't. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm still getting all this figured out, and I was gonna put some pictures up. Didn't get that figured out in time, so I will try and get that to you next week. I'm gonna try and get some pictures every week and show you guys kind of what's going on in pictures for the live streaming. Oh, okay. Just trying to fix Donna. Okay. So that's just the only one that's going bad. All right. Okay. Okay, so, and I am going to recommend a book every week that I'm going to try and make it kind of a book that pertains to the theme, but I only have so many books in my library that I really like. So, and I usually don't keep books around if I don't really like them. But anyway, this week I'm going to be talking about chickens and things like that. So I chose one of my favorite books on chickens. And this guy, right there, I've listened to him speak at several conferences, and he is really, really knowledgeable. He's been farming for many, many years. He lives here in Missouri, up in northern Missouri, and he also raises Duroc hogs, and he has another book as well, but I'm going to show you that some other time. It's more along the lines of the heritage breeds of chickens, and yeah, it's really good. He's kind of down to earth, and his favorite breed is the white Rhode Island white. Excuse me. He's been doing extensive efforts to try and bring that breed back. and he's just a really, really neat guy. And the book is a good read. It's not boring. And anyway, that's the book. And I believe you can get it on Amazon. Anyway, so check that out if you get a chance. And anyway, so that is the book that I'm going to recommend. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so what I was going to talk about was chickens today. And I want to know what your all's favorite breed is. So let's hear some favorite breeds from everybody. And while I'm waiting on the kind of lag we got going on here, I'm just going to talk about a lot of breeds have their own specific qualities that they're known for, and every breed is good for something. It's just some are better in certain qualities than others. So, all right, minor buffering. Rhode Island Red, we have some of those. We have, let's see, 5 different breeds that we keep here, or 6 different breeds that we keep here on our homestead. We keep the Salmon Faverolles, which is new to us this year, Buff Orpingtons, the Rhode Island Reds, the Plymouth Barred Rocks, and the Crested Polish, and the Brown Leghorns is what we keep here. I like to keep more dual purpose type birds. It just, works out for me better. Let's see. Before you get into chickens, if you haven't already gotten them, you kind of probably want to know what your end game is, your goals that you want to have for your chickens, what they're going to do for you on your homestead. So kind of know what you want, and then research your breeds from there. There's endless opportunities for different breeds out there, and if you get a breed that's not the right fit, you can always choose another one. Or if you like to just kind of dip your toe in the water and decide from there, go with that. So let's see. So for me, I kind of break the chickens down into 4 different categories. You have your egg layers, which are the ones that they're mainly for laying eggs, and those are going to be your Leghorns and things like that. There's the brown and the white, and there's several other different breeds, but those are the most common. They don't really have a very meaty carcass on them, but if you do butcher your old hens and just make kind of a chicken stock out of them, you can certainly use them for that, and you will get a little bit of meat off of them. But their main purpose in life is for egg production, so they will give you a lot of eggs. So if that's what you're really wanting, is a lot of eggs and something that's not going to be as meaty, an egg laying breed is going to be right for you. Okay, so there's the dual purpose chickens. Those chickens, you're going to get a fair amount of meat off of them. They're usually going to grow to be very large birds when they become adults, and they're going to lay decently for you. Lay nice eggs for you. Now, the chickens that I have on my homestead that fall under this category are the Salmon Faverolles, the Buff Orpingtons, the Rhode Island Reds, and the Plymouth Barred Rocks. They all lay a nice big brown egg. Now the Salmon Faverolles, since they are new to me, I don't really, they haven't started laying yet, let's just say that. I don't really know, the egg size I'm going to get from those guys. But the reason I got the Salmon Faverolles, I did my quite a bit of research on them, and They are supposed to be really good winter egg layers, so I'm going to try and see how that goes. And the roosters are supposed to be pretty meaty and pretty decently fast growing. So when we go to butcher, say we raise some here on the homestead and we go to butcher them, we'll have a decently meaty carcass in a good amount of time. Nothing like what the Cornish cross will do, but I'm kind of wanting to get away from the Cornish cross as far as meat birds. You can't beat them for growth rates. I did several videos. I kind of took you week by week on those guys, and then at the end I did a video on kind of the cost of it all. So if you want to go see that video, go check that out at my channel. But another category that I use are meat production, and that would be the Cornish cross, like I said. And there's also a breed out there called Red Rangers. I've never used that breed, so I don't really know much about those. But the Cornish cross, I call them Franken chickens, because they just grow and grow and grow, and you cannot beat feed conversion with the Cornish cross chickens at all. You're going to get a nice big meaty bird in a very short period of time, but that comes with a lot of high maintenance issues. They are very messy birds. They are prone to heart attacks and other issues. They will outgrow their bone structure if you're not careful, which means their legs will splay out and they can't walk anywhere. I only had 2 this year that did that, and it was closer to the butchering time. Sorry, I was reading. I got distracted. Yeah, and so what I did was I just carried them to the food and water. It was a little bit more work, but I got them taken care of. And I did end up butchering one a little bit sooner, and then we just ate it. Let's see. How many chickens do I have right now? I have about 40 chickens. That includes the new ones that I got this year. So, yeah, I have about 40 chickens at the moment. Let's see here. Frankenbirds, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to read comments here. Okay, there was one other thing I wanted to touch on the Cornish cross. What was it? I can't remember. Okay, so the kind of the fourth category that I rate chickens into is the ornamental. Now I call them ornamental because they really don't lay a lot of eggs, and they're really not good for meat. And but the thing that they are good for is they're really pretty to look at. That's why I call them ornamental chickens. They're just something that looks nice around your yard. They don't really serve a purpose all that much, but hey, they look pretty darn cute. And that on our homestead would be the crested Polish chickens. They are by far the funniest chickens to watch grazing. They're really fun to look at, and they're really dumb. They're about the dumbest chickens I've ever seen. They are really, I don't know. They're very beautiful, and their little puffs on their head are great to look at. So, okay, did I miss any questions? I hope I didn't. Let's see here. Sorry guys if I've been missing questions. I'm trying to All right. So how many of you guys out there have chickens, and how many of you out there are wanting to get chickens? Oh, I don't think I ever told you. My favorite breed is the Buff Orpingtons. And the reason I like them a lot is because that's a breed that my grandpa had, and I just fell in love with them. They're docile, and they're really great birds. So I enjoy the Buff Orpingtons the best. So okay, so it says it's going to be buffering. Sorry guys, we kind of live out in the country a little ways, so internet is not the best. So. Mountain Men Homestead, you want chickens? Okay. Do you know Minuteman Homestead? Do you know what kind of chickens you think you're looking into? Christine, most cities will let you have a few chickens in your backyard, just not roosters. You have to check your city ordinances, though. I know most here in Missouri allow you to have up to, I think it's 4 chickens in your backyard. So you might check into that. Cool. Minuteman Homestead. Layers. Started with buffs about 150 years ago. Alderman Farms. Yeah, Minuteman Homestead, you really want to make sure you have your space set up first and then get your chickens. Some people are like me. Sometimes I get my cart before my horse, but I really do try to make sure that I have the housing accommodations and things like that ready to go before I get any kind of animal, regardless of what it is. Chickens are the gateway drug. That's very true for a lot of people, Alderman Farms. Let's see. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on. Any questions? Let me know. All right. So, what do chickens eat? Chickens are omnivores, and they will eat just about anything. Anything and everything. Now, I've noticed they don't particularly care for onions. Don't know why, but they don't particularly care for those. They really like to. The reason they do all the scratching and the pecking, and you'll see chickens like jumping in the air and doing all these funny acrobatic things. They're after bugs. They love bugs. Right now, this year, we have a lot of cicada bugs, and the chickens are really enjoying those cicada bugs. Which is nice because it keeps it a little bit quieter around here. So those cicada bugs are obnoxious. They love to eat worms. They will eat greens. That really doesn't account for a lot of their diet, but they will eat greens. And then seeds of any kind. They love to eat seeds, so grass seeds. And then you also have things that you feed them yourself, which would be the commercial feeds, organic feeds, whatever it is you decide to feed your chickens. Mixed grains, different things like that. Now chickens, they have what's called we call it a gizzard. Some people call it something different, but what that is that's essentially their stomach. And the first place that the food goes is in their craw, and then it passes down into their gizzard. Well, you'll see chickens sometimes eating little pebbles, little stones, and what that does is it allows the gizzard to break up seeds and different things that they eat so that they can better digest their food and take all of the nutrients that they can out of what they do eat. So if you see your chicken eating rocks, don't worry. uh, it's not going to hurt them. Anyway, so let's see. Yeah, anything and everything. And food scraps are great to give to chickens. They are very efficient at eating the food scraps. Here, I don't really give them food scraps. My pigs get it. I would be cautious on feeding them anything that's got little bones in it. Like, I wouldn't feed them fish bones. That can poke holes in their craw, and things like that. Anything with sharp, splintery bones, I wouldn't give those to them, or any animal for that matter. So you might be cautious on that. Okay, so where do you keep your chickens? Well, to many people that means many different things. Most of the time it's called a coop, and your coop can be stationary or it can be a movable coop. A lot of people really like the fact that they can move their chickens around and that they fertilize their yard for them. And it can be as big or as little as you like, depending on how many chickens you want. We sell our eggs, so we like to keep several chickens on hand. And we do rotate our chickens, so the older hens do get turned into stewing hens, and I make broth and things like that for soups and things, so we do rotate through our chickens. And I like to make sure that I have younger ones coming up, because chickens usually 2 to 3 years, depending on how you feed them, or if you push them too hard. Say if you put and not necessarily if you're not pushing them too hard, but sometimes in the wintertime people will put lights in their chicken house to keep them in egg production, because it does slow down over the wintertime. But just depending on how much your chickens lay is depending on the lifespan of their layability. So usually whenever they get to the point where they're not laying a whole lot of eggs, that's when they become food for us. Some people just let them, retire and do their own thing, and that's totally fine. If that's the way you want to do it. And goats like eggs? Your goats eat eggs, Moby Day? Or do they just like to break them? Huh. I know my goats like to run into my chicken house. I have the chicken yard and the goat yard is the exact same thing. And they like to run in there. It's annoying. And they know how to get that door open if I've got it unlatched. So I always have to make sure that I keep it latched really good. I do not put a light in my chicken coop in the wintertime. That is why I've kind of introduced these salmon faverels. I'm really hoping that will kind of help with the egg production during the wintertime. I don't like to push my chickens. I try to keep things as natural as possible with my chickens, so that in my opinion, it kind of keeps the eggs a little bit healthier if the chicken is allowed to take a rest over the wintertime from the main egg production of the summer. It kind of gives their body a break. And the more protein your chickens eat, the darker the color of the yolk. So in the wintertime, your yolks are not going to be as dark when they can't get to those bugs or worms or the natural proteins that they can get to. Now, you can give them the commercial feeds that have the higher protein and still keep them up on the protein. But in the summertime, you'll notice a big difference in your egg yolks compared to the wintertime egg yolks. No. Thank you, Alderman Farms, for reminding everybody to do that. I don't know how to set up moderators. I guess I'll have to learn how to do that. Let's see. Okay. All right. Coop size. I've always gone by the rule. I don't like my chickens to be, in there compact, and I only lock them up at night. As soon as I get up in the morning, I either send one of my kids out to open the coop up, or I run out there real fast, open it, and then come back in and get all my inside stuff that I need to get done. And I do that so that they can have maximum daylight hours. And I do have windows on the coop. Well, they're not actually windows. In the summertime, what I do is they're actually just holes that are cut in the side of the coop. And in the wintertime, I staple plastic up. So it creates a window, but then I have wire so that predators can't get in. But anyway, show them right. You click that and can't assign it. Oh, okay. Here, Kitty's Homestead. Can I try you out as a moderator real quick? Would that be okay? See if I can figure it out. Sorry guys, I am just learning all of this, so you'll have to bear with me. This is my first time going solo, and it's 11:30, and I'm trying to pace myself so that it's really going to take me a little while to figure out kind of how to pace myself whenever I'm doing this. So, okay. Okay, use set moderator. Okay. I think I got you. Okay. Thanks, Kitty's Homestead, for doing that for me. I appreciate it. Okay, guys. You guys have been great, by the way. Thanks. I appreciate it. I don't even know. Oh, I got 16 people watching. That's more than I thought I would have. So, that's great. All right. Coop size. I was talking about that. I got sidetracked. Okay. I don't like my chickens to be crammed in there, but they're only in there from the time they roost, which is sundown. Chickens go to roost at sundown, so there's no having to shoo them into the coop or whatever. Now, if you're introducing new chickens, into your coop, you will have to help the learning challenge to figure out where to go in. But for the most part, they will put themselves away at night, and then I just shut the little door that I have so they're safe from predators. I really don't have to shut the door at night because we do have our livestock guardian dogs, but I do anyway, just for I don't want my chickens to be served up in case the dogs happen to miss an animal coming in, and the dogs don't have access to get in the coop, so if something gets in there, they can't make it leave. So I do shut the coop at night for that purpose. I don't want my chickens being served up on a platter to all those predators out there. I usually stick to the 5 square feet per chicken. That's what I kind of like to have. And like I said, I got 40 chickens right now. At the end of the fall, whenever the salmon farmerells get old enough to start laying, I am going to cull a few of my older hens and get them taken care of and made into broth that I use for soups and homemade noodles and things like that. So, okay, so things that you're kind of going to want in your chicken coop. You're going to need nesting boxes. Anything works. Ours are made out of just scrap lumber. Anything we had lying around, they're not pretty. They do the job though. So I'll have to do a video on my chicken coop. I haven't done that yet. I don't know why. Most things around here we try to use found materials. We usually try not to purchase a lot of things. So we're always constantly bringing things home. We have a pile out back of just random things that we might be able to use. I'm getting off topic, sorry. So you can make your chicken venture as cheap or as expensive as you like, depending, because you can buy the pre-made coops if that's what you want to do, or you can make one yourself. There's lots of different plans out there in the world. Tacos! I watched your stream last night, Alderman Farms. The taco thing's hilarious. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Sorry, guys. Nest boxes. They're going to need some roosts somewhere to. They like to go up, higher. It's kind of what they naturally do. Way back when, before they were domesticated, they roosted in trees and things like that. So you're going to want some roosts in there for them. You don't want them to sit on the ground, especially in the wintertime if there's a breeze or something. It's a little cooler on the ground, so the higher up they are, the warmer they'll be in the wintertime. And that really helps them out with regulating their body temperature. They don't use as many calories that way to keep warm, and you don't go through as much feed that way. So roosts are kind of, and they really like the security of being up high. That's, in a chicken's mind, they're safe when they're higher. So you will need a waterer. The waterer that I have, I don't keep in my coop, just because chicken manure is if it gets wet, you have a lot of an ammonia problem, and it's just right outside the coop. And like I said, first thing in the morning when I get up, I let my chickens out. So there's just, a small window of time where they don't have water. But if you, only take care, you only feed them water once a day, and you only see them at that point, you'll want to keep water in there at all times. And if you have baby chicks or something like that, you want to make sure that they have water at all times. And if it's hot, but some kind of a waterer. Now, I just have a pan that sits with the water in it, and it's a communal pan for all the critters to drink out of. I clean it every day, rinse it out, make sure there's no, goopies in there, and try to keep good, fresh, clean water for everybody at all times. Sometimes I'll put some apple cider vinegar in there. Falling taco. Okay. Save a taco day. Very cool. All right. Okay, so water. A lot of times they just have the ones there. You can get the ones at like Tractor Supply or Orscheln's or whatever feed store you have that allows the basin to fill up as the chickens drink. Now with those, the problem I have with those is the chickens like to scratch, and they scratch them and they get them full of debris, and then your chicken waterer is clogged and they can't get fresh water. So that's why I kind of like to leave mine outside also, not only the ammonia smell, but for that reason as well, and the water stays a lot cleaner that way. So all right, a couple of other things that I keep for my chickens, and at all times I have oyster shells at the ready. They can eat them whenever they want, whenever they feel like they need an extra dose of calcium. I give them the oyster shells. You can buy those in bags at any feed store, should have them. And what that does is that helps them with the calcium that they need to produce good, strong eggshells, and you don't reach into your nesting box and grab a hold of a nasty, gooey egg that is broken. That's not fun. Not fun at all. So, are you guys having a problem? Okay, this looks like A couple of people might be. It says my stream's doing good here, so sorry guys if you're having problems. I can't help the internet likes to not cooperate. All right. Also, I like to keep a dust box for my chickens. It really helps with the digging of dust bathing holes. They will create their own if you don't want to provide them with a dust box. And trust me, those are not fun to find in the dark. I have done that a few times, and I face planted one time. That was not cool. Yeah, that was not cool. And they can really hurt you if you twist your ankle or something like that. And they can create one of them suckers pretty quick. And if you don't know where it is and you find it in the dark, you'll know you found it. So I provide them with a dust box. It really does cut down on the dust bathing holes. And they dust bathe for a reason that helps keep them clean, helps keep the mites down and things like that. Now in my dust bathing box, I put a kind of a little concoction of different things, and it really does help with the any mite issues or anything like that. I put diatomaceous earth and wood ash from our wood stove, and I also put extra dirt in there, just any run-of-the-mill dirt, and I just mix it in. It doesn't really matter, you know, the percentages of the mixture. Just dump it in, and they'll mix it. You can, you know, mix it up a little bit if you want to for the first time around, but they will go to town. Last time I filled up my dust bathing box, I had like 6 chickens in there trying to dust bathe at once, and it was pretty funny. Dirt was just flying. I should have taken a picture, but I didn't. All I had was my phone on me, and it doesn't really take that great of pictures. So, let's see here. Cockeyed Homestead. I will get to that here in just a minute. I do have that on my things to talk about, so I will get to that here in just a minute. The broody hen situation. Okay. Okay, dust boxes. That's what I was talking about. And I do have a video on dust boxes of my chickens, so you can check that out on my thing. And if you guys don't want to like search for different videos, it's under. I have playlists set up, and I have different sections of different things, so you don't have to like pick through the whole lineup of videos that's there. You can just go to whichever specific section you want to go to. Okay, so predators. Everything will eat a chicken. All carnivores are a predator to a chicken. They are the lowest thing on the food chain, and anything and everything will eat them. Even owls. Owls are not as much of a problem because the chickens roost at in the chicken coop. But I did have a few chickens that wanted to go rogue, and they roosted way up in the trees, and I was like, sorry guys, I'm not climbing the tree every night to get your little scrawny rear ends down. So an owl picked them off one by one, and yeah, that's why I don't have a lot of my brown leghorn chickens anymore, because they're the ones that would roost in the trees. And I used to have a lot of banty chickens. My grandpa bought me some bantam chickens, and they got to roosting in the trees, and I just wasn't going to deal with getting them down every night. I have one left. I did at one point have like 20 or 30 of them little things. They are prolific breeders. They love to hide the nests, and then you end up, you know, your chickens walking across your yard with 10 little ones in tow, and it's like, oh, Jesus. And then you got to ground them up, and then the hen's just going crazy, and no fun. So, well, I mean, they're cute, but it's like, you guys got to stop breeding. So, predators, the owl situation is only a problem when you have chickens that want to go rogue and roost in the trees on you. So, red-tailed hawks are a pain in the rear end. Here in Missouri, you can't get rid of them. It's against the law to do that, so we don't do that. One thing that I have noticed that will deter them is getting a plastic owl and putting it on a post, kind of centrally located where your chickens stay. Hawks do not like owls, so they kind of steer clear of them. A plastic owl you can get anywhere, Walmart. We got ours at Bass Pro Shop. Why, they had an owl there, and it was cheap, so I went ahead and bought it. That kind of helps deter the hawks from getting your chickens. And that's one thing, that's one predator that my livestock guardian dogs, Jackson and Mia, they can't protect against, and you know, for obvious reasons, they can't protect things that are coming down from the air. So here in our area, the biggest predators we have are raccoons, possums, we have foxes, and coyotes. Now the foxes and coyotes, they don't come anywhere near here because of my livestock guardian dogs. The raccoons and possums, we had a skunk. And the reason I know we had a skunk come in one night was because I went outside one morning and Jax came to greet me. And yeah, I smelled like a skunk. That was fun. Anyway, so there you go. All right, it's 11:45. I think I'm doing pretty good on my time. Now, if you don't actually see the predator that gets into your chicken coop, there's a couple of ways you can tell between a raccoon and a possum, and that's where they start eating on the chicken. Raccoons will typically start eating the breast of the chicken first, and so most of that will be eaten, and the possums will start at the other end. They like to start at the rear end. They like to start eating there and work their way up. So if you happen to see that, there you go. Now that's not all the time, but typically. You can set out live traps for these predators. It's pretty easy to catch them in live traps and deal with them as you will, and that kind of thing. So let's see here. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on with the predator situation? No, I don't think so. Okay. Let's see. There we go. All right. So, what are some challenges with chickens? Broody hens. If you do not want broody hens, then you have to break up their broody cycle. And typically, I have a cage that I keep inside my chicken house that I will put them in with feed and water, and usually 3 to 4 days will do the trick. They don't like being in there, and that will help break them up. And if they persist, you know, I may let them hatch out of clutch. I will usually let about 5 hens hatch out every year, and with the baby chicks, I will just let her take care of them. I don't do anything. I do feed my chickens, and the baby chicks are able to get to it. She takes care of it. I'm hands off when it comes to that. I don't hatch out chicks on my own unless I want a specific breed or I have a specific person that's wanting some chicks. So I let Mama take care of them, and I usually don't have any losses. This last batch, we did have one. She did lose one, but it was kind of a weaker chick to begin with, and he didn't really do all that well, so she did lose one. But usually they do really well, and they grow really fast. I think they do a whole lot better when Mama is able to take care of them. So I usually will let the first ones to go broody are the first ones to get to be mamas. So usually they typically hatch out about 10 or so, and then the cockerels, we will separate those once they get a little bit older, and go ahead and feed those out. Maybe usually towards the end of the year, depending on how many Cornish cross we butcher that year. This year, well, you guys seen that video? We butchered some this year. Anyway, let's see. Any questions? Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can dip the broody hens in water a couple times. That does work pretty good. Thank you, Grizz270. If you guys have any suggestions on how you break up your hens, by all means, please let us know. That's just how I do it. I set them and put them in the cage for 3 or 4 days. Anyway, I like my mamas to raise their hens, or raise their chicks. Good grief. And that's just the way I like it. So, alrighty. You can get too many roosters for your hens. If you start seeing a lot of missing feathers on the backs of your hens, it usually means you have too many roosters and you might want to cull one. Or it may mean you have an aggressive rooster towards your hens, and you might just, observe them for a little while and see which one is the culprit. And then also, roosters, certain breeds will become extremely aggressive the older they get. The Rhode Island red chickens are really bad about that. The roosters get aggressive and mean the older they get. I've never had a problem with the Buff Orpington roosters getting aggressive. The 7 Royal roosters are not supposed to get aggressive. I don't know about them a whole lot, but we'll see. And the brown leghorn roosters, they do get aggressive as they get older. The Plymouth Barred Rocks stay pretty docile. They usually don't get too aggressive when they get older. So it just depends on the breed, really. If they're more of a flighty breed, usually the roosters get a little bit aggressive. When is it a good time to let your hens become broody? I usually wait till it's warmer weather. To we're constantly in the 70s during the day and it's not getting too cold at night. That's usually whenever I allow my hens to go broody. This year, my broody hens didn't start getting broody until midsummer, so it really depends. So, anyway. And it's easier on them if it's warmer weather. The little chicks don't have to stay under mama as long for different periods of time, for longer periods of time. And mama usually does a pretty good job at protecting them when they're little from other chickens that like to peck at them. If you have a good mama, she will. And most of the time, my chickens are pretty used to having little babies around, so they're not too aggressive with the little ones as far as pecking goes. Can you not hear me very well? Oh, okay. It's just her volume. All right. Okay. As far as heritage breeds versus, the more commercial type chickens, in my opinion, the heritage breeds do a little bit better if you're going to do more of a free range situation. They're more adapt to that, and they seem to be a little bit smarter as far as watching out for aerial predators, digging, scratching, things like that. The commercial breeds, that kind of has been bred out of them just a little bit, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be a bad chicken per se when it comes to that. So, is my screen frozen, guys? It's kind of showing over there that the screen's frozen. Okay. Do I need to turn up my... Okay. Anyway, I prefer the heritage breeds. Now, sometimes in a specific breed, there will be a commercial line. Let's see, I'm almost out of time. A commercial line and, a true line. One example is the Rhode Island Reds. They have more of a commercial line, and they have a more heritage line. A true Rhode Island Red should be a really, really dark red. It should be as, let's see, it should be, she should look almost black. That's how deep red she should be, as far as that goes. So, where you get your chickens just depends. If you get them off of a farm, they're going to be more geared towards the open range kind of thing, or free ranging kind of thing. Okay, I have, let's see, a few more minutes left here. Okay, so ways you can make money with your chickens. Obviously, you can sell the eggs. That's what we do. You can grow out chickens and sell them. Here in Missouri, you can do that up to a certain amount of chickens without having to be licensed. You have to check your local laws on that one, though, because everywhere is different. You can sell hatching eggs to people. You just need to make sure that they understand that you can't guarantee every egg to hatch and things like that. So, and you can sell baby chicks as a straight run unless you know how to sex them. And you can also sell breeding stock. So, and things like that. With the salmon faverolles, I probably will go ahead and try and get my own line going of those, and then eventually down the road sell breeding stock from them. I did buy them from a hatchery, and just to get into it, and I'm going to try and find other people that have the salmon faverolles. If I really like them, I really kind of want to get that breed going and kind of work on that breed a little bit. Just because they are on the critical list on the Livestock Conservancy website. So, let's see, check my time. Okay, I got 5 minutes. Just because I want to contribute to helping a certain breed out. As I don't want certain breeds to die out, so that's kind of the breed I've chosen to maybe help out a little bit on down the line. So, and that, speaking of the Livestock Conservancy, that's a great place to do some research on some of the heritage breeds if you've never done that. You check that out. I don't have their website, but it's, I think it's livestockconservancy.org. If anybody knows, please put it in the comments. That would be fantastic. And they do more than just chickens. They do all breeds of animals, and that. So, okay, so I think that's all I had for you guys today. Are there any questions from anybody or anything that anybody wants to say? I am going to tell you a quick story. I actually have a fear of nesting boxes. And that stems from when I was little. My job was to collect the eggs when I was young. And so for me, I had to reach up into, because I couldn't see in the nesting boxes, I had to reach up into the nesting boxes. And one time I reached in there and I grabbed a hold of an 8-foot long black snake. Of course, I dropped the egg bucket. I sprayed all the eggs in the bucket and go screaming out of the chicken coop. And my dad is working in the garden. He goes, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "There's a snake!" And of course, he goes in there and then he pulls the snake out of there, and it's this gigantic snake. And it's not being over dramatic. That thing was huge. And I mean, he was like that big around. He was gigantic. So I have a fear of reaching into nesting boxes that I can't see in. So at night, if I happen to have to gather the eggs at night, I will not reach my hand into a nesting box. Can't do it. Can't do it to this day. So I have to be able to see what I'm reaching into whenever I reach into a nesting box. So, all right, that's kind of all I had for you guys. Please go check out the Homestead Network. There's a lot of great channels on there. And thank you again to Brad and Tommy for getting this really great online community set up. I think it's fantastic. And set up your own community where you live. Get into that. So, yeah, that would create a phobia. Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah. So I will walk all the way back to the house and get a flashlight before I will reach my hand in the nesting box that I can't see in. So, let's see. Any other questions before I... Oh, yes. Thank you, Kitty, for putting the homesteadnetwork.com up there. That's great. Thank you. And you guys go ahead and check out the Livestock Conservancy. They're really great. They do a lot of great work with preserving some of our heritage breeds. So, anyway, all right. I don't think there's anybody on after me. I don't think anybody is signed up to do any of the daily shows on Mondays. So, wait. Okay. Thanks, Gabby Jades. I can't pronounce your name. I do apologize. I'm just going to say Gabby. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you next Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Bye, guys.